What up, guys, and welcome back to Thomas Reacts here on the 360 Experience with myself, Thomas Mumba. So today we are looking at Zimbabwe. We know that there are a lot of moving pieces there in Zimbabwe. We know a lot of things happened ever since Emmerson Mnangagwa and his friend President Ramaphosa decided to inaugurate the man on Monday in front of everybody else. So we also know that ZANU-PF is not happy about the SADC mission that went to Zimbabwe to actually check if everything was done legit there in Zimbabwe, because the SADC mission that went there released a damning report against the ZANU-PF, saying that the elections in Zimbabwe were not free and fair. So guys, I thought it would be important for us to get an update on what's been happening in Zimbabwe. And guys, please, if you are in Zimbabwe, please on the comment section recommend good sites for me so that I can start learning about everything that has been happening in Zimbabwe. I thought it would be important for us to dedicate a part of this platform to highlight the things that are happening in Zimbabwe. So guys, please do that on the comment section. Whether it's a blogger, whether it's a newspaper, whether it's a blog, anything, guys, anything that has to do with informing us about what's been happening in Zimbabwe, it would really be appreciated. So guys, today I have an update from Gambakwe Media to tell us and break down what really the SADC report said about Emmerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF, and what is it exactly that the SADC mission plans to do to actually unseat Mnangagwa, because if the elections were not free and fair, what they are basically saying is that Emmerson Mnangagwa is not the president of Zimbabwe.
6 September 2023, and today I've got a dramatic turn of events in the Zimbabwe 2023 elections issue that has been with us over the past 2 weeks. There has been dramatic developments today, and SADC, and particularly Zambian chairperson of the ZADC Observer Mission, Mumba, has come out to clarify the status of President Mnangagwa and of Nelson Chamisa. So I want you guys to listen very, very carefully, because I wanted to discuss other issues today, but I've decided to handle this issue because this is very, very important. So what has happened today is that Mumba was on Zambian or on South African television stations, and he has clarified that the report which was issued by SADC is not a preliminary report, but it's actually a final report of SADC. And as far as SADC is concerned, the election that was held in Zimbabwe is not a legitimate election, and therefore there is currently, as we speak right now, no one who was legitimately elected to be president in Zimbabwe, and therefore the Zimbabwean government or President Mnangagwa, if he is agreed, he should approach SADC in Botswana. They know the process. So I want to play you this clip, and then I want to play you the response by George Charamba. But what is clear is that SADC is not recognizing President Mnangagwa at all, and he has to follow the process. So President Mnangagwa is in a very, very tight spot.
Okay, I understand that SADC does not recognize Mnangagwa as a president, but the question is what is it exactly are they going to do about it? What is it that SADC is going to do about it? Because I think that is the most important question right now. If they don't recognize him as a president, what is it that they're going to do about it? Are they going to remove him from the presidency? How are they going to do that?
As we speak, SADC is not recognizing him. So let's listen to what Mumba said here. We then listen to the response by George Charamba, and then we're going to listen to the response by Nelson Chamisa. So those 3 interviews, I want you to look at them very, very carefully, and then we'll conclude very, very quickly.
I had the honor of presenting the final report to the chairman of the Troika, President Hakainde Hichilema, and our team, which I should confess has been a professional team from the beginning to the end, did an excellent job. And the only difference between the first report and the final report is that in the final report, we include all the developments that took place after the election, up to the 20th.
Right. So I want you to understand what he's saying. The report that has been presented to SADC is final. It's not a preliminary report. And then I want to quickly look for the place where he explains what President Mnangagwa needs to do if he does not agree with this report. My apologies about that. I think we're going to have to listen to the advert.
Tax sale is back with up to 35% off on your favorite Samsung products. Like
limitation, and it was a point of conflict. The ballot papers, when they should be released through transparency, we have to go back to the Constitution of Zimbabwe to see what it says. It talks about transparency, and we noticed that there are other laws that were enacted to block that transparency. We didn't tell them what to do with that law, but we are mandated to point it out that this law stands in the way of a democratic process, and it could actually affect the outcome or the legitimacy of the outcome of the election.
There's pressure right now to discredit the report by those who are aggrieved, and they went as far as saying your proximity to the opposition in Zimbabwe can be a factor. How do you respond to those allegations?
Let me make it clear. I think that our brothers in Zimbabwe need to understand that everybody means well for them. There is no one who goes there with a mission to destabilize or to disturb the Zimbabwean people. Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, SADC, we are one people. And our job is to make sure that we talk about those things that are going to improve the way we serve our communities. And that's what SADC does. We don't go there with personal agendas. For them to go and call in some people Western puppets, saying that probably the head of mission knows the opposition leader, I think it's unfortunate and it's mischievous, because they know that even if I had known the opposition, I don't have power to change a sentence in the statement, because I am not the one who writes the statement. It is written through a scientific process of more than 25 people that work on that document to make sure that it's legit. So I think those are challenges that our brothers are facing, and our advice really is as follows: that they should not shoot the messenger. I think our colleagues in Zimbabwe should do what every other member nation does when they are challenged on the process of elections. There is a channel within the SADC framework within which Zimbabwe can take their grievances to Gaborone, to the headquarters, through the heads of mission, through the heads of states when they meet, and they can talk about how they feel about the report. They can protect themselves, they can defend themselves, but not fighting on the streets.
Right. So I need you to understand what he's saying here. So what he's saying here is that the report is final. There are two reports. There is a preliminary report that was first presented and publicized. Then there's a final report that was drafted by more than 20 people. That is now sitting at SADC, and that is going to undergo a process. But as far as SADC is concerned, their report says there was no legitimate election in Zimbabwe. That is what it says. So as far as SADC is concerned right now, in Gaborone, they do not have a legitimate election that took place in Zimbabwe. So listen to that very, very carefully. Then I'm going to play for you what Joy Charamba said. And I think I'll make my comment about what he said afterwards. So he also responded to this very same report from Nevers Mumba. And then I'm going to play Nelson Chamisa, what he said. And then we're going to wrap this up very, very quickly today. So my apologies about the slow loading there.
Right? What it means is the preliminary report still has to, one, become a final report. And when it becomes a final report, it still has to be tabled before a council of ministers.
Right. I'm pausing George there. I want you guys to understand what's happening. George is saying there is a preliminary report, but you just heard Mumba saying that there's a final report. So what's happening here is that George is misleading the public. He's misleading people. There is a final report of SADC, as we speak.
Which is really a body which brings together foreign ministers of SADC.
Of the trade.
Yes. No, it is actually, it could be large actually, right? So there's a council of ministers, and it's probably meeting around February, March, right? Then when that has happened, then the foreign ministers must look at that report. They will then push it upwards to the SADC Troika, which will be around thereabout, right? It still has to come to summit. And this will be about August next year, right? It is only at summit that report is tabled, discussed, amended, endorsed, or rejected. And I have news for you. That SADC summit will be here in Zimbabwe.
Right, so let's clarify what's happening here. And I'm going to stop, George. You guys can go and watch these interviews. And remember, I still need to play Chamisa. So let me explain to you what has happened. Again, the SADC Observer Mission has produced a final report. It has been sent to Botswana. It was created by more than 20 people. The Zimbabweans, which includes George Charamba here, they have been told what to do if they want to challenge that report. They need to go to follow the process and go to Botswana and challenge the report. As far as SADC is concerned, there was no election in Zimbabwe that produced a legitimate president.
But the question stands, man. What is SADC going to do about this situation in Zimbabwe, man? What is it they're going to do? Or is there anything that they can do about the situation in Zimbabwe, man? Is there anything that SADC can do about the situation in Zimbabwe? That's like, to me, that is one of the most important things, because I would really like to know what is it that they can do for the people of Zimbabwe, because I don't believe that releasing the reports and saying that Mnangagwa is not the president, the elections in Zimbabwe were not free and fair, and all of that, fine. But what are they going to do about it? Or is SADC just an organization that releases these reports and do nothing? So if SADC no longer recognizes Mnangagwa as the president, so how is everything going to move forward?
This is what the report said. They did not follow the process. The election did not meet the standard that are set by SADC. George is saying the report is not final. It is telling SADC that their report is not final. I don't know if you guys understand what's happening here. George and ZANU-PF, they have to follow the process according to the SADC Observer Mission, but they are refusing. They are saying that report is not final. The implication is very, 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 very significant. What this means is that SADC has said this election is not legitimate. Now let's see what Chamisa said. And I want to wrap this up. As I said, this is self-explanatory, and I want you guys to be able to watch this interview, so I don't want to keep talking.
And guys, as a South African, how do you feel knowing that your president, President Ramaphosa, was there in Zimbabwe supporting Mnangagwa after these reports? How do you feel about Ramaphosa going to Zimbabwe to support Mnangagwa? Because what I can tell you is that South Africans, men, are pissed off. South Africans are mad, man. There's a lot of outrage towards President Ramaphosa for what he did in Zimbabwe, man. There's a lot of outrage, man. South Africans are so mad about what the president did there in Zimbabwe, man. So as a South African, how do you feel knowing that President Ramaphosa supports Mnangagwa anyway, despite what the SADC mission says, despite what everybody says, Ramaphosa supports Mnangagwa? How do you feel about that, man?
These are very, very self-explanatory things that have happened today. So I want to play the portion where Chamisa is explaining what he's going to do next. And I think this is also very, very significant.
Well, of course, we are engaging Zimbabweans. Zimbabweans are very clear. They understand where we are going. We are very clear that we will make sure that we express ourselves peacefully, constitutionally, until there is a legitimate government in this country. As we speak, There's no legitimate government in Zimbabwe. There's a disputed and a self-declared through ZAC president, and that must be corrected. Otherwise, this country cannot move because there is an illegitimate government.
They are saying, some of your critics, that you don't have the necessary forms to challenge the ZAC in terms of their pronouncement of the election results.
Anybody can say anything. The bottom line is that we managed to win this sham election. You can't say we are disorganized when we have the number of MPs we have managed to have in a
Right. I'm going to stop Chamisa here.
Why?
So I want to wrap this up so that you guys can have an opportunity to watch these interviews. These are significant interviews. Don't take what has happened today lightly. ZANU-PF, they've basically been dethroned by SADC until they challenge this report, because there's now a final report. And a final report of SADC is significant. As far as SADC is concerned, in Zimbabwe right now, there was no valid presidential election. This is what is said. It's final. It's not something due for discussion in April or February or December or whatever, where Charamba is trying to push this thing. He's trying to push it forward. But SADC has already said the report is final and it's been accepted. They now need to go. So President Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF, they now need to go to SADC to challenge this report, which is final. So internationally, as far as international law is concerned, this is what has happened in Zimbabwe. There has been no valid election. So I don't want to take long here, and I want to quickly look at the comments which are here so that I can see if there's anything significant to deal with. Let's talk to Vincent. Vincent is saying, who is SADC? If you don't know SADC, Vincent, I don't know who you are. You need to know what SADC is. SADC, we talked about this yesterday. They've got extreme powers in this region to do these kind of things. And go and watch those interviews. Digest what is being said there. Digest what Charamba is saying. Digest what Mumba is saying. Digest what Chamisa is saying. What Chamisa is saying is very, very powerful. He's saying he's not accepting that government which was elected. And Mumba is saying there is no government in Zimbabwe until they challenge it at Botswana. This is basically what they say. As far as SADC is concerned, every single SADC country is not going to recognize the election that happened in Zimbabwe. And this is in black and white. You can see it's there on the channel, on SABC. That's why you see, have you ever seen George Charamba on TV before, wearing a suit? He is doing that because he knows the significance of what has happened today. The final report has been produced, and ZANU-PF now has to act. If they do not act, if they do not follow that process of challenging the report, then SADC will have to come back and make a determination on the case in Zimbabwe. And Chamisa's position is clear. That election that was not held, that was held, or that was not held, is not a proper election, and he wants dialogue. We heard Chamisa speaking there. He wants dialogue to take place. Elections cannot take place under the current conditions. Let's see if there's anything else here. Priska is saying, Lord bless and protect Zimbabwe and all citizens. I agree with you. We are at a very, very delicate stage here. Anything can happen now. At this very moment, do not discount the things that are just about to happen in Zimbabwe. This now needs very, very calm heads. People need to talk. If the guys in ZANU-PF like George are allowed to continue to push this hardline, eventually something very, very bad is going to happen. Everyone needs to now sit down and talk. And I've been saying this over the past week. The only way out of this situation is for people to sit down and talk and discuss power sharing. There is no way out of this.
What? To discuss what? To discuss power sharing?
Situation, except a power sharing arrangement. Because SADC is a final report now. You cannot just take a final report and reverse it. And I know that the guys who know what Mumba was saying, they understand what it means. What are the implications? I'm sure the presidents are talking behind the scenes, but President Mnangagwa has to take leadership here. they cannot ignore what SADC is saying and hope that everything will just happen. This is what I wanted to talk about today. I'll talk about the ZANU-PF succession issues after. This is very, very urgent. So I had to talk about it today. And then tomorrow is, what is tomorrow? Let's see what happens tomorrow on Thursday. But guys, go and watch those 3 interviews. Nelson Chamisa, Mumba, and Charamba. They are all on SABC. Understand what they say and the significance on the Zimbabwean political landscape.
So guys, so what do you think about what Gambakwe just said? What do you think about that, man? Because I would like to know what is it that SADC can do to actually assist the citizens of Zimbabwe, man. The people of Zimbabwe, they need help right now. They need help. And I honestly don't believe that ZANU-PF cares about all these smaller reports that they keep issuing out. I believe that they don't care about that. They don't care about that, man. So guys, what is it that SADC can do for the people of Zimbabwe? Tell me on the comment section, what do you think that SADC should do for the people of Zimbabwe, man? Besides releasing all these reports, what is it that they can do to actually remove Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF from power? What is it that they can do? Guys, please tell me on the comment section. Please don't forget to hit that like button. And the most important part, guys, please subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. And guys, please, if you are in Zimbabwe, guys, I need those links, guys. I need everything from Zimbabwe, guys. If you are in Zimbabwe, I would really like to know what's happening there in Zimbabwe. So guys, if you have anyone, or if there's any papers that you would like to suggest, if there's any channel that you would like to suggest, please do so in the comment section, guys. My name is Thomas Mabaso, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.